Hi Kenny, how are you doing?
Good morning, Finlay. Doing very well, thanks, all things considered.
Good, good. Listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to have a little chat about your smart village. Obviously, the Strathyre Smart Village has been set up for a few months now. How's it all going? How's it bedding down?
It's bedded in really well. It's not an instant thing, Smart Village. It's a gradual evolving process, just as it was in the beginning when we're putting the concept together. But the village have very slowly started to realise the value of it and what it can do for the community in pulling them together, sharing information, and give them access to all sorts of very useful information all in the one place. So that concept's working well. We have a simple little blog site based within the application, which is becoming quite appealing, especially with things the way they are just now. So it's all about information, access to information, and support, and all of that's taking off quite well.
Great. So you've got the blog, as you say, so you and others can write articles,
Yeah.
and you've also got, you've got the background information, community information, and an events calendar. What would you say is being the most popular out of those?
You've probably highlighted all of the popular elements of the portal that we have. Um, Going back a few weeks ago, and it's quite frightening to think it was only a few weeks ago, the tourism aspect of the portal, local information, was very appealing to outside people, people that were contemplating a visit here, things to do, things to see, and the general attributes and natural assets of the area were very popular. But things change, and as people got used to the portal, they were starting to discover that access to information was starting to become very important. We've had our fair share of flooding locally in the village, road closures, and various things like that. So we've gone from the tourism element to local concerns or areas of value that the village needed access to. Uh, that then twisted again into um, events that were going on, pub events, restaurant offers, and various other things that then became flavour of the month, if you like. And lo and behold, we've got this horrible crisis on our hands. So access to important information, local information, food supplies, and safety and the community information has now become very important.
Mhm.
So, God willing, things will improve and we'll get back to a normal way of life. And all the other elements that are maybe not quite so uh, regularly viewed will again come back into their own right. Once tourism becomes possible, then that aspect of the existing portal will perhaps increase in its interest level.
That's really interesting. You make some really good points there. So we know it's multifaceted in that
Yeah,
it can be, an outward facing for tourism and visitors, but also really important at a community level. So that's really interesting to see that in practice.
yeah,
And so here we are at the end of March, Friday, 27th of March. We're locked down in the coronavirus
yeah.
episode, as you say, and we will come out of it.
Mhm.
You mentioned a couple of things there about sharing how people can get food and so on. So are you actually using the portal to share some of that specific information just now?
Yeah, Strathyre, Balquhidder, Lochern Head are three small rural communities that have really pulled together exceptionally well. There's a fantastic spirit within the community. When a disaster happens, it's amazing how communities really pull together. We witnessed that at 8 o'clock last night when virtually every single person in the village of Strathyre, where I live, was out on the doorstep applauding and clapping the NHS for very valid reasons and heroic activity. But I think during the current time of concern, things like food supply has become a major issue. Just as earlier as last weekend, we had an influx of tourists from England that thought they might escape into rural Scotland. And a consequence of that was, sure, a boost to the local economy, but perhaps at a time when we least needed it. As a result of that, many of our rural village shop shelves were emptied. So that caused an immediate panic within rural communities on how they were going to address that. Thankfully, the shops, including local ones here in our community, have responded brilliantly. They've stocked up their shelves, we've now got good supplies, and almost half the village has volunteered to go out and actually do door-to-door deliveries at a distance, clearly, with all the safeguards that are required during the self-isolation period. So messages are being dropped off. They don't even need to manage the cash management because the local shop has set up a sort of online payment mechanism and account system. So the village has responded brilliantly. Some great service going on. Until the lockdown, the local cafe was offering deliveries around the village as well and pick-up, takeaway service. So the village has responded remarkably well, and there's a great community spirit, always has been in Strathyre, but it's more evident now as it is in Balquhidder and Lochgarn Head, where the local hall in Lochgarn Head has become an information hub, which is integrated into our smart village environment. So all of the good deeds and all of the good things happening around the community are all projected through the smart village portal, just to keep the locals updated.
And I think that's what we're learning, isn't it, that we can use the old-fashioned ways of communication and the old-fashioned, if you like, community spirit, but when we can, you know, like the shops, maybe upskilling a little bit in terms of payment, delivery, and so on, and using the technology. So let's hope that we come out of this all a little bit stronger as communities, but a little bit better in terms of digital skills and so on as well. And on that note, you know, we're obviously trying to develop and learn as we go. Have you got any thoughts about how we could improve the portals, or maybe what other functionality could be added at this point?
Yeah, a few ideas there. What's become evident within an excellent portal, very informative portal, is the user-friendly aspect of the blog element. There's a lot of people sometimes reluctant to take to new ideas. We've got Facebook, we've got LinkedIn, we've got WhatsApp and all sorts of platforms that people use in various levels of various degrees. But the Smart Village portal blog is something quite new to them. So I think that's an area that we perhaps need to focus just a little bit of attention to make it more widely appealing and user-friendly, which it already is. We just need to get that story together and to perhaps enhance that element of our portal. We have a small section within our one on things for sale, items wanted. That's proving fairly popular, and again, a little bit of expansion of that within the blog environment to other areas would be quite useful.
Thanks for that. And what we're realizing is, as we talk to other communities, is that there's a local person, you know, and that's somebody like you or a group of them that we call the digital champion. And we realize we have to provide them with support, and we have to help upskill them and a group of people who can keep the portal vibrant. So I think that's good feedback and something that we'll be mindful as we move forward. Listen, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, this morning, but I appreciate you joining the Zoom call. It's a nice way to keep in touch in times like this.
Yes.
And maybe we could schedule another couple of calls, Kenny, just over the next wee while, and you could keep us posted as to how things are working out for you.
Great idea, Finlay. That's spot on. And stay safe, stay indoors, and speak to you soon.
Okay, nice talking to you, Kenny. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.